Okay, hey guys, and hi Nikki. Guys, today I'm
Hello.
super excited to be with Nikki, a client of mine, and we are going to talk about some really cool results she's recently gotten. And we're going to talk about how she signed her very first high ticket client for her coaching program at $5,000 price point, which is very exciting as a new coach. And so to start, Nikki, let's have you just tell us who you are and what you do and what you sell.
All right. My name is Nicky Espinosa. I started my own coaching business. I'm a leadership coach, and I like to call myself a life and leadership coach because I just don't believe you can be different people in different places. So I focus on leadership coaching. I have tend to focus on women's leadership coaching, and as that spills into all the other parts of our lives. So prior to working with Lauren, I had been coaching and working full time as an executive myself, and I had been struggling with price points. And the most I had charged at that point was $1,500, and now I'm like, that's ridiculous. My very first client who charged me $1,500 still calls me and gets some of my time these days, and you know. But yeah, that was one of the first things, the first night you and I talked, Lauren, when I signed up with you, I knew I was worth more than that. But to actually get my first high ticket client within a couple months or month and a half, whatever, was really awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I know I remember our conversation. It was I've gotten a couple clients, but I know it was for less than what I should have charged. And
yep.
yeah, yeah, and you are amazing at what you do. And okay, so what specifically were the problems that you were facing besides you knew that you weren't charging what you wanted to charge, but besides that, what were the problems you were facing before we started working together and before you joined the program?
Mm-hmm. Well, I had started to dabble a little bit with very little direction, and I quickly became overwhelmed. I was, still working in my executive job full time as well, and that was just too much. So one of the key things that I sought you out for was because I needed help with sales in general. Like, I knew I could talk to people, but what's the process and how do we go through this? And then just in general, anything with social media and anything online. I have a business background. I know I need to be here, but I didn't know how to navigate Facebook and LinkedIn and all these other places. And I was overwhelmed. So, when I first started working with you, that was the thing that really drew me to you is that social proof that you have. Like, I wanted that, and I knew that I knew I had good results with clients that I'd worked with in the past. But it had always been either out of the kindness of my heart, I was working with somebody, or for a lot less than I should have been charging. I'd been doing it enough that I knew I was not charging enough. And I had just, like, right before I signed with you, I had just raised my rates to 3,000, and within 20 minutes of talking to you, I'm like, that's not enough either.
You're like,
So I knew, I was like, it's got to be 5. I think it's higher than that even, but I'm okay with 5. Let's get started. Mindset has been everything for me. I think I have a little bit of a story about how I got this client that has to do with you. Can I just go into it? Because I when it happened, I have to tell you, I was like, I have to tell people about this because I know mindset will always be a challenge for me. And what I'm learning is, and for anybody who's listening to this, that's feeling that, like, it's not happening for me, it's not happening fast enough for me. I am not a patient person. So I hear you. It wasn't happening, or it still isn't happening fast enough for me. I want more because we're ambitious. We want more, but to understand that there's going to be those days where you're going to feel like, am I doing the right thing? Those self-doubts come in. Well, I'm a women's leadership coach. I teach people not to have those self-doubts, and I feel them too because I'm human. We're all human. Well, the day that I was to take the sales call, I followed the whole process. I'd had some sales calls before that were okay, but they didn't land a sale. And I know, looking back on them, I didn't do as well. I didn't go through the process to really answer the reasons why for the person on the phone, because I hadn't been through your whole program yet, as you know, they're kind of early calls. So this call went through she'd been watching me for a while. She answered the pre-qualifying questionnaire, and she answered the question about money as if like she couldn't afford me. Like she basically said, and I knew I was a $5,000 program. And she said, the most I'm willing to invest is $2,000. And I almost didn't get on the call. I sat and I was like, do I even just get on this call or not? And that day I said, I'm going to get on the call because I need to practice, I'm going to get on the call. I need to practice. I haven't done as many. And I listened to, there's some bonus materials on, in the program, and I can't remember her name, but you're talking with another woman.
Yeah.
I listened to that before my call. And that just put me in the right mindset. So I was primed to have the conversation. So I went into the conversation. One, I was kind of thinking she couldn't afford me. So I went into the conversation thinking, I'm going to help her as much as I can in this hour I have with her. But I'm not discounting my price. This is what I'm worth. But I think I can help her. And the conversation was wonderful. There were tears many times. I think Raina talks about that too in a couple of her calls. I've had that on a couple sales calls now where people, you can help them and they know you can. So by the time we got to price, and you say this, but by the time we got to price, it was a huge stretch for her, but it wasn't about if she needed it, or it wasn't about whether she was going to do it or not. It was about how she was going to do it. And I was respectful of her wanting to take a little bit of time with that. So I didn't press her on the call, but I did say, look, I only have these many spots. I told her I'll hold it for 24 hours for you. At the time that I had, I didn't have any other sales calls lined up in the next 24 hours. It's not like I was going to just, close up all my spots in 24 hours, but it could have happened. Who knows? But I did say, this one's for you for 24 hours. Go do what you need to do. And she came back and she's like, nope, I need to do this. And there it was. And I almost didn't get on that call with her because I didn't think she could afford me. I made an assumption too early in the game, right? So I just wanted to share that. I'll always remember that I almost didn't get on this call.
And that is the common mistake that I see new coaches do all the time, is making assumptions as to what someone can or cannot, or is or isn't willing to pay or go out and find the funds. New coaches make assumptions like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that. This is my first time hearing that. So thank you for sharing the full story. I just saw the post, like, I just signed my first 5K client. I was like, woo. So that's cool. Seeing the behind the scenes of how it unfolded. That must have been even more exciting than for you, because you're like, well, if it turns out great, but if it,
it was, I don't know. One, it was a really truly pleasant conversation because I was there for the right reasons. I wasn't afraid of the conversation or afraid of the objection, because like you say in that call, the objections are, objections are not game over, they're game on. I was ready for that objection. So when it came up, it was really kind of weak by the time it came up because so much had already been discussed, So I was there and I was in the right headspace and in the right frame of mind for her, and just gave me all the confidence I needed in that conversation. And it shocked me as much as it did maybe anybody else, that I was like, wow. Since then, I've had 2 other sales calls that have went really well. Didn't produce, the other 2 didn't produce, but they came so close, like right up to the end. We're like, I want this, but I'm going to have to say no right now. But it wasn't it was a very nice conversation with both of them. So
So, and I love what you said there. It was a no now. So
it's a
many
no
coaches,
now.
especially new coaches, will hear that and go, they're never going to buy from me. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a few months' time. That person will be back in your inbox saying, Nikki, I'm ready to go now. Right?
Yep. Yep.
And so for you, so you're enjoying the sales process now. That's what I'm hearing. And all of this is you're actually you're getting on these calls and you're not fearing, you're not anxious, you're enjoying the whole
Like discovery. You've called them discovery calls before. And I don't know, it doesn't really fit with my model, but for me, I'm discovering something in the calls about these people. And no matter what, no matter how the conversation goes, I feel like I'm there for the right reasons. So I'm not fearing it like I was before. Like I would get nervous and butterflies in my stomach and just afraid to get on a call or afraid of that moment when they ask me what I'm charging.
Mhm.
Now, that moment is maybe a little bit of tension because I know that I'm expensive and I'm going to be more expensive the longer, the more this goes on. But I feel confident now saying I have a premium offer. And 6 months ago, I didn't feel like, it's the same offer. 6 months ago, I just didn't have the confidence to be able to say that. And it's, I've had a few clients over the summer or over the last 6 months. I've had 7 total clients, but 1 at this high ticket offer. And I will tell you, I've started working with her now. So who knows, we've got 3 months together. But already the conversation is different. Even in like you talked about this early in the program too, but I have a client this summer that I worked with and I only charged him $1,500 and he was a lot of work for $1,500 and because he was there for transactional reasons. He wasn't there to really gain personally. He wanted to get a different job and that was basically what he was after. So that helped me see that's not the kind of client I want to work with. Not just about the price tag, but also about what they're looking for. So that's been helpful for me too.
Yeah, and that's what happens for every single client or student I've had that either doubles or triples their prices. Yeah, the extra cash is great, but the quality of client goes from here to through the roof,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super happy to hear that you're in, and that enables you to enjoy your work more, which
Yes.
is for everybody. So yeah, that's amazing.
I have something else I want to tell you too. It's not directly related to sales, but the social proof piece of it that you talk about early in the program and getting people's video testimonials, that's been a little bit more challenging for me. People have been a little guarded and probably the nature of what I do. But I have been able to get some testimonials. And I recently was able to get a new one. Just like you said in the program, I offered her a free coaching session. We sat down for, I think it was probably a 90-minute session, and she did a beautiful video. And I put that on my website and I had somebody reach out and say, this is great. I saw her. How long did you work with her? And I just was like, that was, a 90-minute session. And she was genuine in what we were able to accomplish in 90 minutes. So that was, not only was that good for my marketing and my social proof, it was good for my confidence level too, to go, here, look at this person, what they're saying after just one session. Yeah. That was really, really helpful for me.
Yeah. And then you show that to, the rest of your audience and you say, look what we were able to accomplish in 90 minutes. Imagine what it would be like to do this times 12, having it for 3 months with you. Like
that's on my promo for next week.
See? Yeah, that's amazing. Yes. It's amazing. So you're getting the social proof, you're getting testimonials, and you mentioned that one thing that kind of made you choose our program was the social proof and whatnot, but was there any other particular reason that you chose to work with me over, I don't know if you were shopping around, but why did you choose?
Yeah, I mean, I had worked with another coach earlier in the year, but it was very different. That was kind of more me getting into coaching myself, into the business of coaching. This was what really appealed to me with your program is that I didn't want it to feel, snake oil salesy, and I didn't want, and that was huge that, some of your materials talked about, being able to just tell your story, to be able to do that in a genuine and authentic way, and have people reaching out to you, and, even the social storytelling system, the conversation system, I don't have a huge audience. I'm struggling a little bit to get people to engage in a really meaningful way, but that social conversation system is comfortable for me. It doesn't feel like salesy. So I'd love to be having, lots more conversations, and those things will continue. But I'm not fearful of it. Where I came from a place where, I've done cold calling before. I've been in a sales environment that I hated. And so I probably was a little tainted in that I really am kind of anti-push. So that this appealed to me, that it felt like I could do this and be my genuine self. Because a lot of my concept and my message is around authenticity in your leadership style and in your communication style and how you interact with people. And I certainly can't be any different than that to be able to teach that. Yeah.
Right. So, and to clarify, what were you doing specifically before you came into the program to try and get more clients at higher price points? What were you specifically doing?
I don't know that I had a good idea what I was doing. The only reason I'd raise my rates is because I knew that I was way underpriced. I had done a little market research, so I knew what people in my area were charging for very transactional work, and I felt mine was more transformational. And then as far as, marketing myself, it was a bit of a shotgun approach. I was out there, I was on LinkedIn and Facebook. My other coach had been like, gotta be on Instagram. Pretty soon I've got all these things and I don't understand all the platforms. So that was really confusing and overwhelming for me, and still my executive job and, COVID and our pandemic, everything was crazy this year. So I was quickly overwhelmed. So part of the appeal to this, your social storytelling system, it was that one or two platforms, keeping it simple, kind of weaving it into my life, because I get a lot of inspiration throughout the day and week that I can easily weave in it's a muscle I'm practicing, but it's getting easier. But I felt like that appealed to me because it was more of a strategy. And honestly, the day I signed up for your program was the day I announced to my boss after 13 years that I was leaving my company. And I gave a very long notice, but I was all in, I was committed, and, so I needed the structure that your program provided. I knew I needed that structure, and it felt like a good match just from a values standpoint for me. And that's proven that it's a lot of work, and I'm not afraid of work. I'm no stranger to work. It's just, I want to be smart about it. And, this has been really helpful to give me that kind of a structure. So I've been through all of your materials. I'm doing the weekly coaching sessions. And then of course, wrapping up my other job, trying to close that out. But I'm right at this point where I feel like I'm practicing and it's getting easier, and I'm starting to see those wins, and the confidence is there, but it's not there every day. I just know it'll come back. So working on that mindset has been really important. And the other thing is the group, your group. Like, I needed a tribe, and I knew that too. I'm in a kind of a rural area in the Midwest in the United States, in Minnesota. And one, we're all kind of in lockdown anyway right now, but it's just me and my husband at in my home, and he goes to work every day. So I'm alone, and I have kind of a small circle of friends, but none of them are business owners. None of them are entrepreneurs. They're, steady Eddie paycheck kind of people. And that's what I've been for a long time. So they love me and they support me, but they can't talk about my business. Like, that's too scary. So I needed a tribe of people that I felt comfortable, that I could share wins and losses and, struggles with. And that's been great too, to just even to see other people succeeding, gives you hope that, okay, it's just not your day today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. And I know that's why that's a huge thing, is I'm a huge believer in, what is the saying? Your network is your net worth. I believe, we are a part of our network. So our mindset's got to be there, but also our environment plays a huge role, obviously, in our success as well. So yeah, so I mean, I'm so glad you had the space to come in right away after you signed the first 5K client. You're like, I just signed my first client. And I was like, yay.
I know. Because nobody else in my life. I mean, my husband was like, okay, good.
He's like, great job, honey, great job. But you're like, no, this isn't.
Kind of was like, so how do you get paid? He's kind of looking at me. Yeah. And I have a good girlfriend who has said to me, she's like, wow, you charge that much, And I'm like, yeah, you're not my client. I was like, I love you, honey, but you're not my client. She's like, no, I'm not, but maybe someday.
You're not my ideal client. And that's the thing. Look, if we don't have people, I just did a video on this. If you don't have people around you that actually make you feel like you're the one who's still thinking small in terms of pricing or whatever it may be, you're not in the right circle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I actually had an experience today too, where since I started the program, I've been doing more networking into I have a large network, but some people that, you just don't see very often. And I've reached out to some people that I hadn't connected with. And there is one particular person that we've struck up a collaboration for some training that we're going to be doing. And she called me today with an idea for a women's retreat next year after COVID, the whole thing. And it's this huge idea. And I said, you know what? It scares me a little bit. So I think it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
I'm like, and she's like, big, and we're gonna do this in in another state that we don't live in. I'm like, how are we gonna? Okay, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. Whole different attitude than I would have been 6 months ago.
Look, I always say this, because I don't work with people unless I can see from a mile away if you're gonna succeed. Like, I know that hands down, your energy, your commitment from the first call, like from the first conversation, I can see it from a mile away. And you came into this, you're like, I'm committed. I'm doing it. There's no, I'm in, I'm committed. I'm going to do the work, and I'm not scared, and I'm leaving my job, and I'm never going back. You were in, and you applied immediately, and you came on the calls, and you were in the group, and you're active, and you did the work. So while this is so exciting to celebrate, I'm also not surprised, because you did the work, right?
Yeah.
So that's super exciting to have your first retreat. I'm assuming you're going to charge high ticket for that, which it should be.
Yes. Yeah. High ticket. I'm thinking luxury weekend coaching / spa thing. This could be really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and see, this is where you get to play. You get to really imagine, what feels fun now, right? Okay, now getting paid 5K is my new normal. That's my minimum, right? What can I do beyond this, right? Ooh, I want to do a mastermind now. I want to do a retreat. This is what happens when the confidence it's here, right? It's not here, it's here now. And now your brain is open to all these different possibilities of raising your price again, or rolling out a retreat, or you're just you were confident when you came to me, but now you're like, I'm doing a retreat. And
I know.
And I'm like, oh, well, it's been 2 months too, or it's been
I think it's been about 2 months.
Yeah. 2 months. People take years to even decide to, move to a different state. Like you've done this in 2 months. Imagine a year from now, like it's
Right,
gonna be
right.
amazing.
Yeah, that is something that, I've found that I'm starting to apply some of my basic business principles that I've known from years of executive leadership.
Mhm.
And that maybe is giving me a little bit more confidence too, because I have more experience with those. But the concept of incremental progress,
Mhm.
and you talked about imperfect action. I like that language too. But we're at the end of the year too, and so it's kind of a time of reflection for a lot of teams. And but I've led teams for years, and certainly were days or weeks that didn't go well, but that's not what you dwell on. You focus on over the course of time, and so you look at a year or 2 years and what you've accomplished. And it seems, it's different from the standpoint of I have to manage my own mindset, and I have to manage my energy. But when I'm doing that, I'm feeding my business, and I know that it's incremental. So I guess I'm not as worried about what happens today or tomorrow or this week, as long as I just keep taking imperfect action, because I know in a year or in 2 years or 3 years, I'll be looking back on something that I hope that surprises even me. And I have pretty big ideas. So
Yeah, I got your
my
5
goal
goals.
is to shock myself. Yeah.
I got your 5 goals. We take down your 5 goals as soon as you come into the program. I got them down. I know what we're working towards. And I have zero doubt, zero doubt. Again, I don't let anybody into the program unless I know they're going to succeed. I can see it from a mile away. They got the right mindset. They're ready to go, and you have all of that. So
thank you. It's been really, really great. You've given me that construct to be able to apply myself and what I bring to my program, to my own program, to my clients. So thank you.
Welcome. And that's part of my goal, is to pour over into my clients so that they can pour over into their clients, right? It's this ripple effect. So this is super exciting. Okay, last question would be, there's going to be people watching this and they're like, okay, Nikki did it, but can I do it? What would you say to somebody that is considering joining the program or considering working with me? What would you say to them?
Well, we talked a lot about mindset. I think if you're on the fence, what I would say is this is a really great program that kind of marries up a strong structure and a process, and something that you can follow that feels grounded, but you can still make your own. You still make it your own. You still figure out what works for you. This is your business. At the end of the day, it's not Lauren's business, it's your business. But Lauren's giving you a process, and it's going to give you a structure that you can follow. And then this incredible support system that, because you're going to have ups and downs. There's going to be things that aren't going to go great. And there's going to be wins that you can't celebrate with other people in the way you want to. And this group will let you do that and help you do that. And the accountability. I think I work with a lot of ambitious people. I think you do too, Lauren. So most of us don't need a ton of accountability, but just to have, kind of a tribe of friends that, that are gonna maybe call you out if you're telling yourself some story that you probably need to stop telling yourself. And at the end of the day, you want to be successful. You want to make money, and in order to do that, you have to accept the help around you, whatever that looks like. So it was a long-winded answer, but do it.
Yeah, well, I will. Thank you for saying that. And I will say this, Nikki, you're so much fun. The people I work with are very fun. We have good energy. So if you want to, yes, grow the business, do all the tactical stuff, but also be around people who are genuinely having fun. Like Nikki, it makes you so happy to hear that you're just doing all this and you're happy. Like that's what matters at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, there's this creative side of me that
yeah.
I honestly didn't know I had. And now I'm like, I am really creative. But you manage this energy about yourself. And like I said, you have to go out and you have to find those things that give you energy. And this group is part of that model for me, is to get energy from this group.
Yeah. Yay! It's the first celebration of many, many to come.
Yes, yes, I hope so. I know so. I'm excited about it.
Me too. Thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah.
story and a lot of that I hadn't heard before. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you for sharing your story and thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.